All right, talking about meaningless football games,
Well,
we've got 2 left for Florida State, at least on the schedule. So they were supposed to play Virginia this week, supposed to play Clemson last week. Did we discuss that Clemson? No, never mind. The Virginia game was supposed to take place this week. Okay, Duke and Wake Forest. Will these games be played? Should these games be played? Does it matter if they're played? For me, I will answer my last question first and then hand it over to you guys. That I believe that any football being played is a good thing. And I'm not talking about from a fan's perspective. I'm talking about from a program perspective, that it looks like Mike Norvell is basically watching this burn to the ground, and he's going to either not be around, or he's not going to be able to bring it back, or he's going to make it what he wants it to be going forward. And playing 2 live scrimmages, hard-hitting scrimmages of sorts against Duke and Wake Forest is only a good thing to put some guys out there and see who wants it.
so we'll answer in 2 parts here. Number one, will both games be played? Obviously, Florida State is now switching out. They're going to be playing Duke at home on December 12th, scheduled to play at Wake Forest on the 19th of December. I think the Duke game will be played. I don't think the Wake Forest game will get played. I think that'll be one of those games that's going to be the end of the year, last game. It's not going to matter anything more than pride, so what's the point of risking injury and whatnot? Do I think they should be played? Yes. I especially think that Duke game is important because, as we talked about it a little bit before the show, I think Duke is Florida State's best chance of getting a win left. I think they had no chance in hell of beating Clemson. I think they had a sliver chance of beating Virginia. And then I think they had a decent chance of beating Duke in Durham. I think they have a better chance of beating Duke now in Tallahassee. And after 3 straight blowout losses against teams that shouldn't have blown us out, and then 2 weeks of canceled games, Florida State needs something. Florida State has to go into the offseason with something positive. You're losing all these players we're talking about. You've lost all these games. You're 2-6. You have your worst record since the mid-'70s. Something good has to happen for this team, especially when you look and see that the start of that 2021 schedule right now is Notre Dame on the Sunday before Labor Day, and right now Notre Dame looks like a team that could win the ACC and make the college football playoff. Florida State needs as many good things to go in their direction, and I think ending the season at home, they need to get a little bit of money back after losing millions of dollars from not being able to have the Clemson game and the Virginia game. You have to go in there. You have to beat Duke, finish the year 3-6, hopefully, finish the year 3-6, and just say 2020 didn't happen. Corona wiped out the year. Let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
Before we move on with comments from James and Logan, we'll give Scott Davis the opportunity to respond to the reaction we gave to his initial comment about discipline. He says, what I mean, guys, is Willie was soft and Norvell is coming in like Bob Knight. Is there a problem?
The problem is a lot of you guys make Mike Norvell something that Mike Norvell is not. And I've been saying that. I've met Mike. I've had conversations with Mike. Mike is a good dude. Mike has had success as a football coach. But for some reason, you guys want to make this man like he's some hard-ass football coach, and he's not. He's not. I promise you. Bob Knight, especially Bob Knight, who's one of the most badass offensive coaches, basketball coaches that have ever existed, who's also, I can't say it though, he's also a jerk even for his time, but he won, so people respected it. Again, it goes back, so again, for people who don't understand locker room etiquette, you can yell and scream as much as you want, but the player has to respect it. Now, think about Bob Knight. Mr. Bob Knight choke a player. Mr. Bob Knight throw a chair during a basketball game. Mr. Bob Knight, all these different things. Had respect and won, so those antics worked. Like, if it's just a bunch of people yelling at you and you don't have respect for them, it's not. And I'm not suggesting that like there's this wholesale disrespect of Mike Norvell. I just think they don't. I think Norvell and the coaching staff doesn't really know the players, and the players don't really know each other, and there's not a mutual understanding that we all have our best interest in mind. Like even when people like to bring up Mickey Andrews. Mickey Andrews said some things that I can't repeat on FCC radio. like to people. But Mickey was also the same guy that would tell you, I'm only doing this because when I went into your living room in front of your mother and dad, you told me you wanted to be the best to ever come out of Florida State, right? So I have to do this to get something out of you. So no matter, he might piss you off, but you have that relationship because you understand where he's coming from. Same thing with Bobby. Same thing with Billy Sexton. When Billy Sexton cussed me out, my running backs coach at Florida State, he cussed me out when I did right. He cussed me out when I did wrong. He cussed me out when other fullbacks and running backs did right or wrong. But Billy was like, if you fold to me, what's gonna happen when you get the pressure situation against Miami? Like, if you're worried about what I'm saying about you, like, then you're gonna fold in life. So, but I understood that what my goals were. He had those in mind. I just think, and I said this when Willie took over, and this was a mistake that Willie made. And I hope Norvell learns from this mistake and uses this offseason with whoever's left over to really bind in and not no articles written about buy-in. I don't need that. I need like real, genuine, like, all right, you tell me you care about, you care about butterflies. I'm going to make sure you get to go to butterfly school or something like that. That's a very extreme thing, but I need to know that. But like, he's got to recruit the guys that are on his roster now, and they got to know that you care before they care what you know. I think that's one of them, that's one of them warm and fuzzy things that coaches like to use all the time, but it's a real thing. Everybody that talks to me, and every time I talk to them, like, they literally don't know these coaches. And that could be the one byproduct of the quarantine and COVID. And Mike Norvell said this. Mike said, it's my job to get them to trust me. And I got to grow that every day. Say that on 36 Degrees podcast. Not words are made up, his words. And he had it, and then you had the little incident with Marvin. Then he had it, and like we just brought up, they had COVID protocols incident. He had it, then you had the DJ Matthews thing. You have it, then these little things come, and then there's no good football being played. So there's just a lack of trust overall. And hopefully they'll get it. Like, they have to. Players get coaches fired all the time. So, but he's going to be here for 2 to 3 years. Either we're going to be on show 164 saying the same thing because none of them have trusted each other, or, we'll be getting prepared to talk about how Lane Kiffin is leaving Ole Miss, Power 5 JV, and coming to Florida State.
And on show 164, Logan still won't be paying attention.
It's getting interesting.
Yeah.
It's getting
interesting. Defense doing good because I need the defense to perform well, Logan. I got the Steelers defense.
Defense doing kind of fine. We're playing pretty good, but I'm scared. Bud Dupree was holding his knee earlier and has left the game, so
and you let Hollywood Brown with a lone touchdown there, so the Ravens were within.
Yeah, I didn't get to see that. Oh, James Washington, let's go.
It was beautiful. Shout out to the 954 Marquise Brown. All right, so James, before we get to Logan, James, those two games, do you think they both get played? Do you think they both should be played?
I think Duke gets played for money. I think we figure out how to get out of Wake Forest. Wake Forest beats us. Wake Forest can beat us. I don't think just part of it is me trying not to be like, remember what Duke was and what kind of game that was, but like, man, it's the only team in the ACC we've never lost to. Like, I don't want to lose to Duke. So like, part of me is like, let's just not play them so we can keep that streak up. But you got to get that money. You got to recoup some of that money. You got to, and you got to, you're right. We got to go into the offseason with something that's good because our offense has literally never scored. I think my bad. We scored one. We had one game where we scored 3 offensive touchdowns in a game against an FBS opponent. We got to be able to show, even if it's Duke, I don't care, man. Let's go out there and just torch the scoreboard with 28 points. Like, that would be so clutch. Never would have I thought, and I hate Kendall Browse. I want people to understand that with a passion. But never would have thought that I would be appreciative of what Kendall Browse brought to Florida State more than I am now.
Okay, you think that
that's hard for me to admit, guys. That's tough.
Well, Logan, the two games. Do you think they both get played? Do you think they both should be played?
I think the only thing like really haunting those games being played is COVID. Other than that, yeah, I do think they should be played. Let the young guys get in. It's going to be completely a great amount of younger guys that maybe are even older that are going to get some snaps that we haven't seen all season. Let them get in there, and financially you need it. You go hopefully put up some points against Duke at home, then you face Wake Forest a week later to finish off the season. If you can finish off two games with a win like that, I think is a great momentum. We'll see what happens. We've been very optimistic in preseasons, and I feel like we're in another like mini preseason because how long we've been waiting for Florida State to play another game. But some good momentum heading into the offseason, I think, is solid, and it's really good to see Jordan Travis, which seems to be he's close to 100%. So I think definitely let the games be played. Definitely if they can be, if it's safe and everything. I mean, college football is like crumbling as we speak. Every other hour there's a cancellation. NFL games are struggling to hold on as we speak. The only thing that's going to be successful if you put people into a bubble, and that's just not how it's going to be able to work. And now definitely headed into this time of year, it's just struggle bus city for any kind of sports about to happen. The NBA might. I don't know how the NBA is really going to do it with how they're not going to be able to have a bubble again. But if these are your last little chances of playing football, I don't know when we're going to see college football be played again. With this is a new thing that we're about to jump into because COVID-19 is just about to start ramping back up again, and I don't know. I just don't feel so good about the next season. Let the two games be played, most certainly.
And you know what else doesn't cost you a thing? Hitting the like button.
Hit that like button. We're 10 minutes late though, Jason. 10 minutes late.
Well, James was talking. You were talking. I was trying to be nice.
Yeah, 10 minutes late. Hit the like button though if you're in here. 100 people watching, only 36 likes though. This is not. We're not performing well tonight. Not performing well. 36 is a good number for James.
We got to go higher though. We got to
get higher though.
Yeah, let's tack a 0 onto that. We'll honor James with a 360.
Yeah, that is 0.
That's what we'll do.
Now, Logan and I
36
Saturday when Florida State, when the game was canceled at 10 o'clock, 10:30 in the morning. And I will say one thing that I discovered about Tallahassee. Tallahassee can be a fun city when you've got Miami money. When you've got South Florida money, when you got a little money in the account, Tallahassee could be a nice place to have some fun. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Tallahassee, when you got a little coin in the bank, shout out to Hooters on Murray Street.
I don't have that, but I mean, I have a ball when I go home.
Right, but you got the family money, you got the home cooked meal, you got that stuff. So you've got that going on. When you come up, it's a cheaper city, so when you come up with a little bit of cash, a little bit of coin, you're pretty much fine.
I'll be back the 19th. I'm gonna slide through the hood. You'll give me some food. That's what state championship is?
State championship for Joe Campbell, the 16th through the 19th.
Yeah.
Okay, go check that. I'm giving out turkeys and hams to people, but yeah, I might slide through that game and go. Like I said, get some hood food. I need some good hood food in my system, so that I can't get here.
Little South Side FAMU area.
Right. Yep. You feel it.
Yeah.
I will say I did miss covering FAMU homecomings. I haven't covered one of those in a while. FAMU homecoming was the legit food time.
Well, Mike Norvell should not leave that. Like his stay should be inside of that stadium. He should not be able to leave that stadium that whole weekend. He should not be able to leave. He shouldn't want to leave. He should make some kind of way for that to happen. So his office is up there. I mean, you can't get rid of a guy in his office.
That would mean they'd have to cancel the Wake Forest game because they play on that Saturday.
Nah, fly him up.
That'd be a perfect time to use a private jet.
Yeah, use the PJ on that one.
Make the Wake Forest game prime time. People don't understand. We learned this from Willie Taggart. Walkthroughs are really overrated anyway. Just be there. Make sure. You're with the right people, or make sure your off-field staff. That's something that Logan, you're one of your guys. Your guy. My guy too. I'm just saying he works with No Game Day. Nate Greer put on Twitter, and I had people at me, and I just did something real simple. I just added my friends who coach, and like, hey, are there any good players down there where y'all live? Like, he's at a hotbed, Booker T. Washington, and he was just like, yeah, I got plenty of people. He's like, I know Mike can pick up the phone, call me whenever he wants to. I'm like, relationships in the state of Florida isn't really it's not as hard to develop as people really think, especially when you're the head coach of Florida State. Like, even if we stink, when you pick up the phone and you call a coach, you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna answer. So like, you just gotta pick up the phone, you gotta call them. And I understand you got a lot of stuff going on trying to save a season, but we need some ball players, man.
Yeah.
Or let me know what I need to do, because there's I got a nonprofit. I'm going to start a church like Clemson has. I'll take some tithe money, and I can find 6 young men who just happen to be exceptionally gifted from God with athletic ability, and we can mentor the hell out of them.
You're not blindsiding anyone. James, we're not no, you're not Michael Oring anyone. We're not blindsiding. We're not having that.
I could develop.
Can't do it, Scott.
I could develop and mentor whoever you need on the first coast and get them to come to Florida State if we need to.
But Logan made an excellent point, and I'm going to agree with Logan on this right here.
Oh.
That's another reason why Florida State shouldn't play the game against Wake Forest. Because, I'm sorry, you've got the state championships being played in Tallahassee for the first time since the 2002 season, since James and I's freshman year at Florida State. Yes, James, we're that old. The first time you've got these guys, you've got right now, it looks like you could have St. Thomas Aquinas. You could have Miami Palmetto. I'm just using the South Florida schools alone. You've got schools in the Tampa area. Lakeland just lost, but you could have had Lakeland. You've got schools in the Orlando area. You've got all these prospects who are going to be playing in Doak, on the field. Some of them are going to be running out of our locker rooms. This is the prime opportunity to do some serious recruiting. And for Norvell and for a coaching staff that has seen on paper so far to kind of ignore the state of Florida and especially ignore us down here in South Florida, the hotbed of recruiting that we are down here, this is the perfect opportunity. So that's why I'm sorry. And the fans in here can call me names, call whatever. Beat Duke, cancel the Wake Forest game, spend that time recruiting.
I think it'll be just fine. I think it'll be all right. They'll PJM night of or day of and get up there and blah, blah. I think more recruiting-wise, I think the bigger take is getting a win against Wake Forest. I think that does better in the end to me because they're still going to be inside seeing the locker room and all that kind of jazz. They're going to have people. They're going to have some people there for whatever they can do against the NCAA rules. They'll take care of business. They'll have a few people hanging back that talk a little talk back there and try to get away with a few things. But I think a win, in my opinion, does a lot more. At least beating Wake Forest. What is he going to tell them if, I don't know. I just think a win over a loss.
Number one, the Saturday games are going to be 4A and 8A, which are two of the bigger classifications, bigger schools, and I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. South Florida schools are involved in that. And number two, to piggyback off what James said, you really think we beat Wake Forest right now?
First down, Steelers win. Love it.
Wow, you're really behind me.
11-0, baby.
It's already open. You're really behind me over there, but okay.
I am behind, but it makes it even better because I just keep on ringing in your ears. 11-0.
Congratulations, you beat us by 5 points. Mazel tov.
We're already looking towards Washington, so.
Said nobody ever. You really think that right now we can beat Wake Forest?
That's the number one game. I mean, out of those two, that's the one that would put Florida State more in a hesitant response. I do think, though, Jordan Travis being healthy is going to be a game changer in these next two games. He has been hindering stuff the last couple times he started in games. He hasn't been 100%, but like James said, and we've talked about it this whole season, whenever he has a ball in his hand and he uses his legs, I think he's one of the best quarterbacks running the ball. I mean, he is another running back there. And I think it's going to change a lot for this offense. Obviously, you lose Webb, but you still have Toa Philly and Corbin who can definitely take care of their roles moving forward the next two games. And then also you throw in some of the young wide receivers. You still got Helton. I would like to see a little bit of the youngins like Portier and also Brian Robinson, who I think is going to be a stud here in Tallahassee for the next couple of years. I think the offense is going to get kicking. Obviously, Dante Lucas, had his locker cleared, but they had another chat again. I think he's on his last little life there between Atkins and Norvell. And if the offensive line can block just a decent amount, these running backs can do what they need to do against these opponents that don't have phenomenal defenses. So I think they'll take care of business against Duke and have a good game against Wake Forest.